She was running from something, and he found her in the rain. The rain came hard that night. It hit the ground like falling stones, turning the dirt road into a river of mud. Thunder cracked above the forest. Lightning flashed across the sky. The trees shook with every gust of wind. Jalen pulled his coat tighter as he walked back from the storage shed. His boots were already soaked. He was just a simple farmer living alone near the edge of the southern woods. Quiet days, lonely nights. But this night, something felt wrong. He stopped near the barn and looked toward the dark line of trees. Another flash of lightning lit up the woods. That's when he saw it. A figure, small, running between the trees. Stumbling, almost falling. Then gone again into the shadows. Jalen frowned. No one ever came out here. Not during storms like this. Not without a reason. He grabbed the old flashlight from the wall and headed toward the woods. Branches whipped across his face. Mud pulled at his boots. The wind screamed in his ears. Then he saw her. A girl. Barefoot. Soaking wet. She was crouched near a fallen log, arms around her knees, shaking. Jalen raised the light. "Hey, are you hurt?" She didn't answer. Her head was down. Her long hair covered her face. Slowly, he stepped closer. "I won't hurt you," he said. "It's not safe out here." Still no reply. Then she looked up. Jalen froze. Her skin was pale. Not from cold, but from color. Light gray, almost silver. Her eyes were large and glowing faint blue. Not human. She wasn't from this world. She tried to speak, but only a broken sound came out. Then she whispered one word. "Please." Another flash of lightning lit her face. Then came the second word. "Hide." Without thinking, Jalen took off his coat and wrapped it around her. "Come on," he said. "You can't stay here." She didn't resist. She let him lift her to her feet. She was freezing. Light as air. Almost too weak to walk. He half carried her back through the storm. Every step felt heavier. He didn't know what she was, or why she was here. But he knew one thing. She was running from something. Back at the cabin, Jalen lit the fire fast. He laid her on the couch, covered her in blankets, and placed warm water near her. She didn't speak, but her eyes followed him as he moved. He brought a towel and knelt beside her. "You're safe now," he said. She stared at the fire, her hands still shaking. Then she whispered again, "Don't let them find me." Jalen's heart thudded. "Who?" She didn't answer. But her eyes, full of fear, said enough. He didn't ask more questions. Not yet. He stood and walked to the window. The rain still fell. But out there, beyond the trees, something was moving. Not animals. Not people. Something hunting. Jalen turned back to the girl. She had fallen asleep, curled up like a child under the blankets. But even in sleep, her hands were clenched tight, like she was still running in her dreams. He didn't know who she was. He didn't know what she needed. But for now, he would protect her. Because sometimes, a stranger doesn't come to hurt you. Sometimes, they come to be saved. The storm finally stopped by morning. The wind went quiet. The sky turned pale gray. Inside the cabin, the fire still burned. Jalen sat in a chair, watching the girl sleep on his couch. She hadn't moved all night. Not even once. He didn't sleep either. He kept thinking, who is she? What is she running from? Why is she so scared? He made tea. The old kind, warm and sweet. Then, slowly, he sat on the floor beside her. "I don't know if you understand me," he said softly, "but I won't ask questions. Not yet." She didn't answer. Her eyes were open now, but only slightly, like she didn't want to be awake. He set the cup on the table. "Try this. It's warm." Still no response. She turned her face away. Jalen sighed. He stood up, grabbed an extra blanket from the shelf, and laid it across her, then walked to the window. The woods were calm again, but something felt wrong. He saw tracks, deep, sharp, not human, leading near the barn. They didn't match any animal he knew. Whatever left those tracks was looking for something, or someone. He returned inside. She hadn't touched the tea, but now she was holding the blanket tight around her body. Hands clenched, eyes closed, like it was the only thing keeping her here. Hours passed. Jalen tried not to hover. He chopped firewood, repaired the solar panels, checked the fences, and when he came back in, he found her sitting up. Blanket still around her shoulders, but sitting, watching the fire. He didn't say anything. He just sat nearby. Silence. Then her lips moved. The words were dry, barely a whisper. "Why? Did you help me?" Jalen looked at her. "I saw someone who needed help." She didn't look at him. She stared at the flames. "You don't even know what I am." "No," he said. "I don't." "Then you're a fool." He smiled gently. "Maybe." She was quiet again. Then she said, "My name is Sarah." He nodded. "Jalen." She looked at him for the first time, really looked. Then her eyes dropped to the blanket. It smells like you." Jalen blinked. "I've had it for years. It smells like comfort." She wrapped it tighter. "I haven't felt comfort in a long time." He didn't ask more questions. Not yet. But in his mind, everything shifted. She wasn't just scared. She was exhausted, broken, running not just from someone, but from something inside her. That night, she ate a little food. Just a few bites. Then sat quietly at the window. Jalen offered her the guest room. She shook her head. "Too far." "From what?" "From you." He didn't understand. Not fully. But he nodded anyway. She curled up on the couch again. This time, without fear. The blanket over her shoulders, his coat under her head, and her eyes on him until she fell asleep. Jalen sat back down in his chair. He didn't say it out loud, but deep inside, he knew. She wasn't just hiding from danger. She was hiding from something much bigger. And for some reason, she had chosen him to trust. She was hiding more than her past. Something was changing inside her. Jalen woke to the sound of something falling. A mug shattered on the floor. He jumped up from his bed and rushed into the living room. Sarah was on her knees, shaking. Her hands were on the floor. Her breath, fast and sharp. He knelt beside her. "Sarah." She didn't answer. She gripped the wooden floorboard so hard, her fingers left dents. Then he saw it. Her skin was glowing. Faint, soft blue light, pulsing under her skin like slow lightning. Her back arched, her jaw clenched. "It's happening," she whispered. "What is?" "The change." He tried to touch her shoulder, but she pulled back. "Don't. If I touch you now, I might burn you." Her voice was full of pain, but her eyes were full of fear. Not fear of dying, fear of hurting him. Jalen grabbed a towel and soaked it in cold water. He gently pressed it to her arms without touching her skin. She winced, but stayed still. "It started early," she whispered. "I didn't expect this." "Not yet." "Expected what?" "My species, we're not built to be alone. When we bond, our bodies begin to shift." He froze. "Bond." Sarah nodded weakly. "With whoever protects us, who offers shelter, comfort, trust." "My body thinks it's you." Jalen didn't know what to say. He looked into her glowing eyes. "What happens if the bond completes?" Sarah looked down. "I stop being me. I start becoming something new. Half me, half you." Silence filled the room. Jalen sat beside her without a word. He didn't run. He didn't ask her to stop. He just stayed. Hours passed. The glow faded a little. Her breathing slowed. Finally, She leaned back against the couch, her skin damp, her voice soft. "Why didn't you leave?" "Because you didn't ask me to." She smiled, just a little. "That's enough for my kind." Later, she stood on weak legs and walked to the window. Rain had started again. Soft this time. Not a storm, just a whisper. "I don't want to become someone else," she said. "You won't," Jalen replied. "I'm afraid I'll lose myself." "You won't," he repeated. "Not if I stay beside you." She looked at him then. Really looked. And something inside her settled. That night, she didn't sleep on the couch. She curled up by the fire, wrapped in the same blanket. Not because she needed warmth, but because it smelled like safety. Like him. The next morning, she cooked. Not much, just a simple stew using his supplies. He watched her hands move with care. And he realized something. She was no longer acting like a guest. She was starting to act like she belonged. But far away, deep in the trees, something else had landed. Quiet. Deadly. And it was scanning for her. He tried to keep his distance, but she moved closer every night. Jalen wasn't sure when it started. Maybe the second night. Maybe the third. But every morning, when he woke up, she was closer. At first, she slept on the couch, wrapped in his old blanket. The second night, she moved her pillow a little nearer to the hallway where his room was. By the fourth night, she was lying beside the fire, just 10 steps from his door. He never asked why. She never said. But he knew. She was afraid of being alone. Jalen tried to keep space between them. He told himself she was a guest, a stranger, a refugee. But every time she looked at him with those soft, glowing eyes, it was harder to believe she was just passing through. That morning, he found her cooking again. She used his spices without asking. He didn't mind. She added small purple leaves, not from Earth. Where had she gotten them? "Sarah," he asked carefully, "where did you find those?" She smiled faintly. "I planted them outside, the night I first slept here." He blinked. "You planted something on the first night. I was hoping I'd be staying." Jalen didn't say anything, but his chest felt heavier. Not in a bad way, just full. Later, they sat in the sun near the cabin. She leaned her head on his shoulder. He didn't move away. Then she said something that stopped his breath. "When we bond, it's not just emotional. Our bodies begin to change, but so do our thoughts." He looked at her. "You're reading my mind." She smiled. "Not yet." Then her smile faded. "But sometimes I feel your heartbeat, like it's trying to tell me something." That night, he left the door to his room unlocked. She didn't come in, but she slept in the hallway, just outside, wrapped in his coat. And in the middle of the night, when the wind howled through the trees, she reached under the door and held his hand. Jalen didn't pull away. But outside, in the forest, something crouched near the edge of the tree line, watching, breathing, scanning for energy patterns, not life signs. It had found a spark. Something alien. Something bonding. Something wrong. The next morning, Jalen found strange marks on the trees, like a claw had scratched them. Too wide for any animal. Too deep for a tool. He didn't tell her. Not yet. He didn't want to scare her. But Sarah already knew. That evening, while they lit candles, she paused, turned slowly toward the window. "They're getting closer." "Who?" "Not my people. The ones who chased me across space. They hate bonds. They hunt emotions like disease." Jalen stared at her. "What happens if they find you?" She didn't answer. Instead, she reached out and touched his chest. Her fingers were cold, but her touch was warm. "They can't take me if I'm already yours." Jalen didn't understand what that meant. Not fully. But his heart did, because it beat faster under her hand, and it didn't stop. That night, she didn't sleep by the fire or in the hallway. She opened his door, and he didn't stop her. She didn't speak. She just lay down beside him, close enough to hear his breath, and whispered, "Thank you for not being afraid of me." And just before she closed her eyes, he whispered back, "I think I was waiting for you." But outside the cabin, deep in the trees, something red flashed. A scanner, a whisper, and a signal sent to space. They had found her. It started with the sound of wind, but not the normal kind. This wind had a rhythm, a pulse. Jalen stepped outside, shotgun in hand. The trees didn't move, but the sky was glowing faint red. Low, silent, watching. Sarah stood behind him, barefoot, hair moving in the windless air. "It's them," she said. "How many?" She closed her eyes. 4 ships, 1 near, 3 circling. They don't speak. They don't ask. They just erase. Jalen didn't speak. He just walked back inside and started packing. Food, water, extra clothes, one of his old field maps. Sarah watched him for a moment. "You're leaving." "No," he said. "We're running." Outside, a red light passed through the trees like a scanner. It didn't stop for anything. It didn't blink. Just moved forward, straight toward the cabin. Inside, Sarah placed her hand on the wall. Her skin glowed. "I can mask our energy for a few minutes, but they'll break through." Jalen looked at her. "Then we make those minutes count." He led her to the old root cellar under the kitchen floor. It had once been a storm shelter. Now it would be their escape tunnel. They climbed down. Dark, cold, damp. Jalen lit an old emergency lantern. Sarah followed close behind, breathing quietly. Above them, a soft crack. The cabin's front door opened. Slow, careful. Then, boots on wooden floors. Jalen held his breath. Sarah gripped his hand. Her fingers trembled. Not from fear, from rage. "I can fight," she whispered. "No," he said. "We get away. You live. That's the win." They followed the tunnel to the exit, hidden behind an old tree stump half a mile from the cabin. Jalen opened the hatch slowly. The sky above was dark now, but something hovered in it. A drone. It scanned the area. Sarah stepped back. "It knows I'm near." Jalen looked up, then looked at her. "If I give it a signal, will you run?" She stared at him. "Not without you." He smiled. "Then I guess we run together." They sprinted, through trees, over roots, across wet grass. The drone followed, fast, silent, until ZAP. A red beam hit the ground near them. Dirt exploded. Sarah screamed. Jalen pulled her behind a rock. "It's marking us," she shouted. Jalen grabbed a rock and threw it at the drone. Pointless, but it gave her a second. She raised her hand. A wave of light burst from her palm. The drone froze midair, shook, then dropped, dead. She collapsed to the ground, shaking. Jalen caught her. "That's the first time I've used it since I escaped." He touched her face. "You still with me?" She nodded. "I'll always be with you." Suddenly, more lights in the distance. A troop ship landed in the clearing ahead. Tall figures stepped out. Black armor, cold faces. They weren't soldiers. They were hunters. Jalen held Sarah close. They couldn't run forever. Not in this body. Not on this world. She leaned into him. "If they take me, they'll erase the bond. They'll erase me." Jalen looked her in the eyes. Firm, fearless. "Then they'll have to go through me." And he meant it. Because she wasn't just an alien. She wasn't just a refugee. She was his now. And he was hers. The forest was quiet now. Too quiet. The kind of silence that comes before a kill. Jalen held Sarah in his arms behind a fallen tree. Her breathing was slow, shallow. Her skin, once glowing faint blue, had gone pale gray. She looked up at him with tired eyes. I can't hold the bond much longer. They're trying to break it. From inside me. He gripped her hand tighter. No, you stay with me. You fight. She gave a weak smile. My people don't fight with weapons. We fight by choosing. And I chose you. Jalen's heart ached. Not with fear, with love. He didn't care what planet she came from, what chased her, what tried to erase her. She was his. He pressed her forehead to his. Then I choose you back. The bond, already weak, flared. A golden glow spread from his chest, flowing into her. Sarah gasped. Her back arched. Her body lit up, not blue anymore. Gold, like fire and light and memory, all mixed together. She wasn't just healing. She was becoming something new. Half her, half him. And the hunters felt it. In the clearing just ahead, the black armored figures stopped moving. Their leader turned toward the glow rising between the trees. It's happening. The bond is completing. Another hissed. Then we end it now. Back in the forest, Sarah sat up. Stronger. Eyes glowing gold. Hair moving without wind. She looked at her hands. Then at Jalen. I feel everything. Every heartbeat you gave me. Every word you didn't say. He held her cheek. And now I am yours. Not just because I was broken, but because you made me whole. She stood, slow, powerful, then looked toward the clearing. They'll come with weapons, but they've already lost. Jalen grabbed his old rifle. I'll fight with you. No, she said. You already did. I will finish it. They stepped into the open. The hunters were already there. 6 of them. One stepped forward, its voice like stone grinding against ice. You are a mistake. Sarah's voice was calm. No, I am proof. That love is stronger than fear. They raised their weapons. Jalen raised his gun. But Sarah held up a hand. Let them see what we really are. Her body pulsed once. Then light exploded outward. Not heat, not fire, just memory. Their bond, their nights, their fears, their silences. All of it, poured out like a wave. The hunters froze. They twitched, shook, and dropped to their knees. Their suits cracked. Their black armor melted like wax, because they weren't built to hold emotion. And she was full of it. One tried to crawl away. Jalen stepped forward. You came to erase her, but she erased what you are. The forest fell silent again. Not empty, not dead, just healed. Sarah turned to Jalen, her body glowing softly. It's done. He stepped close, held her face, kissed her forehead. So what now? She smiled. Now we live. And in the shadows of the universe, others like her watched and whispered. She chose to live because one human chose her first. They were meant to be, even if they were never meant to meet. The sky was clear for the first time in days. Soft golden light poured through the trees. No storm, no patrols, no sounds of machines or scanners. Just wind and birds and the slow rhythm of breathing. Jalen stood outside the cabin, watching the sunrise. It looked the same as before, but everything had changed. Behind him, Sarah stepped out into the light, barefoot, calm, not glowing anymore, but alive in a way she'd never been. Her skin was still smooth and silver, but her eyes now held the color of firelight and memory, a reflection of him. She walked to him and slipped her hand into his. I thought this world would kill me, she whispered. He squeezed her hand. It nearly did. She leaned her head on his shoulder. But then it gave me you. They sat together near the small garden. the one she had secretly planted when she first arrived. The purple leaves had grown overnight, not because of time, but because of peace. Sarah spoke softly. Where I come from, we were told never to bond with other species. It was called weakness. Jalen smiled. Then I guess I was raised wrong too. Because I think it's what makes us strong. She looked up at him, eyes shining. We're not human. We're not alien. We're something else now. Later, they'd rebuilt the cabin together, fixed the roof, cleaned the old weapons, but they didn't prepare for war. They prepared for life. One day, a small ship arrived, unarmed, silver, quiet. It didn't land with force. It floated down like a soft wind. 2 travelers stepped out. They looked like Sarah, but older, wiser, a little broken. They spoke her name in a language Jalen couldn't understand. She didn't run to them. She held Jalen's hand and brought them to him. They saw the bond, not just with their eyes, but in the way he looked at her, the way she breathed slower when he was near. They bowed slightly, not in fear, but in respect. One of them placed a small stone on the ground, a beacon, a quiet promise. You are safe here now, they said in broken English. No more hunters, no more patrols. You changed what we thought could never change. Then they left, and the forest went still again. That night, Sarah and Jalen sat by the fire, no longer afraid of footsteps in the dark, no longer hiding, just existing. Together, she whispered, "You could have turned me in. You could have walked away. Why didn't you?" He didn't answer at first. Then he said, "Because you knocked at my door, and I opened more than just that. I opened my heart." She reached for his hand. Their fingers locked like puzzle pieces, and she smiled. "I wasn't just looking for shelter. I was looking for someone. And somehow, the stars brought me to you." Outside, the night sky shimmered, not with war, not with fear, but with the silent promise of 2 souls who never should have met, and were never meant to be apart again. The end.